see barely showing any of my shirt now. Oh. Welcome back, everybody, to our channel. My name is Heather Pittman, and you are watching Planning Hacks for Creatives Part 3. Today, we're going to be talking about backwards behavior versus pursuing your calling or your passion. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel down below. Also, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any brand new content that's being brought out specifically with you in mind. But today we were going to talk about engaging in work or other activities that are counterproductive to your end goal, okay? So we want to talk about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how we can remedy that. How can we turn that around today? Because there's nothing worse than listening to a whole speech and spiel about what's wrong in life and we don't have any ways to fix it. So, backwards behavior. What do we mean? I'm talking about distractions. Distractions come in all various forms, shapes, and sizes, but they are indeed distractions. So this could be anything from group chats, social media, excessive noise, chilling, working out, caring for others, and I'll talk about that later, so don't get like all offended and turn this off, sleeping, eating, which is my favorite, alcohol, tobacco, marijuana usage, all of that stuff. So let's talk about it. All those things that I just mentioned, in and of themselves, typically they are not bad for you. Typically, there are some things, but in and of themselves, these things are not bad. But when you are doing these things or engaging in these activities excessively, that's when it becomes a problem and or distraction. So what do I mean? When I talk about working out, for instance, working out is great for you. It's not a bad thing at all. But if you find yourself in the gym 2 to 3 times a day, and you're not a bodybuilder, you're not a professional bodybuilder, but you're in the gym 2 to 3 times a day, 8 days a week, there ain't even 8 days in the week, but you have found a way to be in there 8 days a week. Excessive eating. Let's say you work for yourself and you work from home, but your table is right next to the kitchen. And so you just ate breakfast at 9:05, and now you're back in for a snack at 9:55, and another snack at 10:35. Like, there's something about excessive behavior that becomes a distraction for us, and it takes us away from what we need to really be pursuing. There's an old proverb that says even nectar is poison if taken in excess. So excess is what leads to those distractions in our life. For me, I will say noise and music. That was a huge one. When I was in college, we had to work on producing certain clothing for our homework. And I noticed like I wasn't completing things as fast as I could have, but I was like jamming out to my music. And I'm like, why can't I get this done? And I realized it's because like for me, although I love music, music with words is distracting. So one way I found to remedy that for myself is to start listening to instrumental music when I have to work. Now, if I was doing something like sewing or draping a dress or cleaning a sketch in Photoshop, then I didn't need the instrumental music. I could keep going and it'd be fine. But if I needed to use my brain at work, like listening to my favorite songs and singing along, picking up a water bottle or a pen and like, you, like that, it's not, who are we helping at this point? Like I was just taken away from everything that I needed to do. It was a distraction for me. And it took away time. Again, there's nothing wrong with group chats, caring for others. It's when these things happen in excess. That is when it becomes a distraction. Now, some of you may be saying, but caring for others, you know, I get it. I'm not promoting a selfish lifestyle. By all means, we need to care for others. We're not here to do life alone. I'm saying when it's in excess. So if you are the type of caregiver that has now neglected your own health in an effort to care for somebody else instead of asking for help or someone to do to help you pick up the slack. No, they may not do it the way you want to do it, control issues, but you need help. You need help in that area. So these are a couple of things that can be distractions in our life. So once we have identified the distractions, we need to look at it and say, what am I supposed to be doing right now? And does it line up with what I'm actually doing? So I said I was going to produce this track and have it done by Friday. It's Thursday night at 11:30 p.m. and I think I'm just going to smoke and chill. Okay? And I smoked so long into the night that I oversleep the next morning and I don't have this track done. Somebody needs it. Or if I say, you know what, it's been a long week. I work the 9 to 5 and then I work my dream at night. Let me go party. You party so hard, you're hungover the next day and you cannot spend 1 hour on Saturday, the one day you committed to actually working on your goal and your dream, you can't spend your time doing that because of how you feel from the night before. Counterproductive behavior to your callings or your passions, okay? So once we look at what we're doing and does it actually line up with what we should be doing, we need to take a look at why are we doing these things? Like, why are we allowing these things to distract us? So before we move on, let's remember, you can't always be Superwoman and Superman. Let's talk about serving and helping others, because I know some of you may be thinking, well, I don't smoke and I don't drink, I don't work out excessively, I don't overeat. But maybe you have this thing about always jumping in to help out. Somebody needs to, I got it. You always raise your hand. Always raise your hand. Remember that kid in school, they always had the answer and didn't give a chance for anybody else to have the answer? Is that you in your adult life? Have you become that person? And that's okay. Helping people is great. Again, I'm not promoting selfishness and selfish behavior and a selfish lifestyle. I am saying help within reason. Help with balance. That's all I'm saying. So you don't need to be Superwoman or Superman. And 9 times out of 10, there may be someone else who wants to come alongside and help you, but they cannot because you're always filling that role. So there is no need for them. That's what I mean by distractions when it comes to helping others. For some of us, it could just be that every moment of your day is filled. Every single second of your day, you wake up with things on your mind. You wake up and you're checking emails, social media accounts, phone calls, text messages. You in the shower with your phone in the shower. I don't even know if that's safe. Not really. Probably not. But anyway, there's never a moment in the day when you're not just allowing yourself to be and breathe. There's no moment of peace, silence, tranquility. There's no moment of mindfulness in your life. You are the type of person that always has to have that moment filled with something. If not, you find something to do. Instead of being alone with yourself or really engage in those thoughts or just quiet time to figure out what should I be doing right now, and how can I balance out my day? Asking yourself those tough questions. For some of us, for those of you who are churchgoers and believers, sometimes it's serving in ministry. I love my church. I love serving in ministry, but sometimes it's easy to overserve. Some of you may not be feeling that, but I'm going to say it anyway. Maybe instead of being in 2 ministries, you're a part of 5. Or instead of being in 5, you're part of 14. And you're always at the church. And they're open 5 days a week. And you're there 6 days a week. And, there's a balance to it. If you're not the pastor, if you're not, the admin assistant, there are certain roles that you feel you found a way to be at that church. And sometimes your home is being neglected. Maybe you're at every service and you're there till 10 o'clock at night, but your 10-year-old really can't read because you haven't been there to help them out. And again, this is not a judgment to you. Let's take a hard look at what we're doing as people and find a way to rectify these situations. So there can be distractions and things that are good. The good things in life, again, in excess, can be distractions for our lives. So once we take a look at what we're doing, we want to take a look at why we're doing it. Now, let's keep in mind, no matter who you worship and how you worship, we all need rest. I know it's counterculture. It's not productive. There's all this rise and grind, wake and slay, all these things that busy is the best thing to be. And it's just not true. It is just not true. You might disagree with me, but it's just not true. We were not created to run endlessly on fumes. We weren't created to do it. You can't drive your car across this country without stopping to fill it up. You can't drive your car for an entire year without getting an oil change. Sometimes 3 years without having the transmission looked at. Like, there are just certain things you cannot do. You can't run a car endlessly without thinking it's not going to break down. So how much more, like our bodies and our physical being, our minds, we need rest and we need a break. We need breaks. That looks different for everyone, but it still has to happen. And if you want to look at it this way, God created the heavens and the earth. He still rested. Why can't we? What is that? So we really need to take a look at that. And for those of you who may be saying, well, you don't have a family, have kids, you don't understand. I get it. It is challenging. I don't personally have kids nor a spouse, but we're bringing somebody on this channel who does, so they can help speak to you when it comes to planning and navigating life around those other roles and those other hats you may have to wear. So don't feel like you're alone. There is somebody out there doing it. There's just got to be a better way to do it. let's talk about why we do it. Why do we allow these distractions in our lives? For some of us, and for me, it's all of us, it's easy. It is so easy. It's easy and it's comfortable. Let's face it, it feels better to go into that kitchen and grab those cakes and those donuts and that juice. Juice is my favorite. And eat and drink and call somebody back rather than sitting down to hammer out the rest of your business plan and look at market projections. Who really wants to do that? Nobody. Or it is easier to say, oh, I'll come through, I'll help you out, I'll do this, rather than taking a hard look at what does your home need? It's just easier. It's more comfortable to take a look at the things that distract us. It's easier to scroll through social media and see what everybody else is doing instead of doing what you should be doing. It's just easier. And I want to say one of the second biggest things is not the biggest thing, but one of the second biggest things for a lot of people is fear. Like fear be coming at you, dog. Like fear. The fear of failing. Well, what if it doesn't work? And what if they don't receive what I have to say? What if nobody likes it? What if it doesn't work in the marketplace? What if? And we like blow these thoughts out of proportion and never get started. It is paralyzing to us to think about the what ifs. And we also, maybe sometimes it's an insecurity. Well, I'm not as pretty as, or I'm not as talented as, I'm not as educated as, I'm not as good as, I'm not as eloquent of a speaker as. Maybe I am afraid of public speaking, or I don't know how to edit videos, or maybe I've never shown my music to anybody. I've never sung in front of a crowd before. We can come up with all the excuses in the world about why we can't do something, but it is fear. That is it. It is a lie. It's not true, and you don't have to succumb to it. But we need to understand that these are some of the driving forces and motives behind what we do. One can be character traits. Let's talk about it. You've always been known as the quiet person, or the introvert, the athletic one, the funny one, the serious one, whatever those character traits are for you. And you're later discovering in life that maybe that's not who you are, but that's who you've been putting on all along. And so the fear of being or showing people who you actually are, it's intimidating and it can be scary. And also not being received, the fear of rejection, that's a whole real thing. You know what I'm saying? But that can be another distraction to lead to us not actually pursuing what we were actually called and created and designed to do in this world. And we weren't created to just do one thing. We are people. We're multifaceted, multi-layered, lots of things that we can and should be doing. But hiding behind fear and insecurity is not going to help us move forward and help the world and give everyone what they need as we're on this earth. So now that we've talked about what we do, distractions, and why we do it, let's talk about how we can change it, okay? So one, let's talk about it. You need to confront the elephant in the room. Hi, my name is, and I am a, whatever it is. If you overeat, if you overdrink, if you smoke too much, if you gamble too much, if you chill too much, you sleep too much, you eat too much, whatever is too much, and you need to stop. I'm talking to myself too. There are lots of things. No one is perfect and no one is always going to get it right. But we have to be real with ourselves first and say, what I'm doing is not working. Maybe I need to change it. Number two is seeking sound counsel or having a support group around you. There is nothing like community. I have such a strong, tight-knit group of friends and family. If I started going off tomorrow, I was like, you know what, I'm finna start. They'd be like, you about to do what? But it is so important. We cannot do this life alone. No man is an island. All this hashtag self-made. Self-made, really? Like you climbed out the crib and you just made it all happen. Nobody fed you. Nobody clothed you. No one helped you, bro. No one helped you. It's a lie. We all need help. And that looks different for everyone. Maybe that is a couple friends. Maybe that's a couple business partners. Maybe that's a couple coworkers. Maybe these are people at your church. Maybe it is a therapist, a counselor, whatever it is for you that you need. We all need support. So I encourage you to seek out the support. That's point number two. We have to seek support as we move to transition from distractions to pursuing our calling. We want to move away from backwards or counterproductive behavior and move forward into what our calling and our purpose is. That's what's most important. Three, we want to actively break away from toxic, self-sabotaging behaviors. Okay? This does not happen overnight, as we have to identify what the behaviors are first. But you want to actively make a plan. Sit down with that support group that we talked about and actively make a plan about how you're going to move forward. So if, let's say, 1 cup of wine turns into 4 bottles, maybe you don't consume the 4 bottles, but talk to your friends about it and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I want to do. I'm struggling in this area. And admitting that we're weak is like the hardest thing ever. But we're all weak at some point in life and in certain areas of our lives. And it's okay. We're human. Like, what do you want? What do you want? We all need support. We all need help. But it is attacking those toxic, self sabotaging behaviors and allowing your core community or your group to help speak to you in those areas and come up with a plan that's going to work for your life. So maybe it's removing the bottles out the house. Maybe it's not going out with you or inviting you out that next Friday night because they know Saturday morning you said, hey, I want to lay down this track. Hey, I want to get this piece of art done. Hey, I want to write the next chapter of my novel. Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Whatever that promise is that you made to yourself, you need to make sure that your support group, your support system is helping you come up with the strategic plan that's going to help you get these things in. Before is the point that Marlena Banks brought up in our last video. If you haven't checked it out, you can go back and check it out. It's Planet Hacks for Creatives Part 2, and she talked about just start. That's it. Just start. Now you got to realize when you just start, you are just taking manageable steps. That's it. You are just starting. We can have all the plans in the world, but it doesn't matter if we do not start. Okay? So this is what can I do today? What one step can I do today to help move me forward? Remember, Rome was not built in a day. The world was not created in one day. But you have to start somewhere. So just start. Whatever the excuse is, whatever the reasons are, or beyond those excuses, and just start. Now, in that, know that it's not going to be perfect. For all our perfectionists out there, I am one of them. And you're like, well, it needs to look this way and it needs to be presented like that. That in and of itself, subconsciously, is procrastination. Now, please keep in mind, I am not promoting messy, unprofessional work. I so believe in presenting your best piece of work and excellence and quality and all those wonderful things. But if it comes to that or presenting the work, I'm going to present it, okay? It will get better as you go along, but you have to start. You have to put it out there. You got to do something. It's not going to happen on its own. If you keep saying, well, when I have this and when I have that, there will never be a perfect time to get started. So why not today? Just start. You can do it. But also remember, give yourself grace. This is new. You are starting out. You are not a professional in the game. You ain't been doing this for 25 years. Give yourself grace. It might be trash the first time. It might be more trash the second time. It's okay. Give yourself grace. Whether you're learning how to edit or how to produce or how to sing better or how to play better, whatever it is, whatever your craft, whatever your calling, whatever your gifts and talents and skills are that you're looking to present to this world, it will not be perfect the first time. Babies don't learn how to walk perfectly the first day. We don't learn how to ride bikes perfectly the first time. The idea that all of a sudden, because we are adults, it's going to come out perfectly, that's craziness. It's ludicrous. It's a bunch of crap. It's not true. So give yourself grace. You absolutely can do this, but you have to give yourself grace, and you are more than able to do it. So just keep that in mind. And the last point number 5, we want to talk about is to repeat. Just repeat those steps. It's not going to be perfect. Give yourself grace. Admit where you got wrong. Admit where those holes are. Get that support system around you. Start what are manageable steps you can take and move forward. But keep repeating. Momentum will be gained as you keep moving forward. It's not going to happen by magic. No one is going to rescue you. It is okay. But you have to start somewhere. You will be fine. It'll work out. It'll all come together. Seek counsel and advice as you go along. You can seek out pioneers and mentors in your field, industry professionals to help cut your learning curve so you don't have to make the same mistakes they did. There is a way to do all of this. But if you keep saying I can't and I won't, or you keep self-sabotaging so you don't get these things done, nothing's going to move forward. And remember, guys, again, I'm not promoting a life alone. We are on this earth to help others. It's not just my world and that's it. My gifts and my talents and my skills help someone else along, and theirs helps someone else along. So we are all here for each other. We are all here to get it together. But remember, we have to start somewhere. So I believe in you. You can do it. Please drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. Any other tips you have as far as moving forward towards your calling? For those of you who may be believers, prayer is a huge one. It's a big one in my life. I don't make a move professionally without seeking counsel, without praying about it, because I've been given these gifts and these talents and these skills, but it means nothing if God doesn't get the glory. Like, for what? Like, who are we helping at this point? But more than that, if he created me, he knows how they're supposed to work in this earth. So why am I trying to figure it out by myself? So I just think that it's very important that you get in order, what's most important in this life, prioritize, and the rest will come together. That is it, guys. That is all for today. That has been Planning Hacks for Creatives Part 3, combating backwards behavior versus pursuing your calling. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. But again, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Set them notifications so you don't miss any new content coming out just for you. And until next time, peace.